Hello everyone, this is Fantasy-esque and welcome back to Lakeburg Legacies. When we left off in the previous episode, we had an unfortunate incident with starvation, which brought some changes to some of our young families. Namely, our lumberjack Gunora passed away because apparently she wasn't getting enough food, which I am surprised by because we have vegetables, meat, and bread. So what? If we haven't been able to procure enough fish or fruit, so what? We have other things you can feed yourself with. Apparently the lumberjack did not agree, and so she passed on. Now she was married to Pepin, and she had a daughter, Effie. Effie is not Pepin's biological child, she is actually his stepchild. So when Gunora died, I kind of freaked out because I thought, well, Effie's now going to be an orphan. She's only flippin' 13 years old. But thankfully, Pepin was, unlike his father Loop, responsible enough to keep Effie with him even though they were homeless, and then he married Sapphire. Sapphire, who newly aged up and, turned 18 and had her own house, or got given her own house by the kingdom. And since Sapphire didn't have a child of her own and she had space in her home, Pepin brought Effie with him. So thankfully, Effie was kind of saved from living out on the streets and being an orphan. And I am very, very impressed with Pepin. I understand that, there were certain situations that his father went through which might have made it difficult for him to make the same choice. And Pepin was kind of lucky in a way, the way things panned out in terms of family members. But I feel like Pepin is a much better person than his father in terms of loyalty, at least, and responsibility he has to, the youngsters who's attached to him. Pepin was Loop's biological child. Effie isn't even Pepin's biological child, but he's still going ahead and doing all these things to make sure that she grows up in a safe and happy environment. So I like Pepin. Anyways, I noticed that Sapphire, she's 18, right? And her stepdaughter is 13. That's barely any years between them. She's 5 years older than her stepdaughter. Isn't that wild? There's that. And then there's a similar age gap and situation with a different family. Where are they? I had to squint while scrolling. Oh my goodness. It can make you dizzy if you scroll too quick. In the Jameson family, Carla also married Lucius, who's 18 years old, and Lucius is the stepfather to Bruce now, who is 12 years old. So they have a 6-year age gap, which I find very fascinating. But yeah, they could be siblings, with the age gap they have. But hey, it is the way their family works. But yeah, Bruce, he has grown up. Look at him. Look at him. He's an adolescent at this point, but he looks pretty cool. I am not gonna lie, he looks actually really, really cool. So he is the child of Rowan and Carla. Rowan and Carla. I feel like he's a good mix of his parents. He looks attractive. I feel like he's a bit of an attractive kid. He's rude, but he's attractive. Okay, so there is that. And also, I am so used to kind of scrolling through all the characters we have and then picking out to see if anyone needs me to address anything, because I like getting a reminder on who the characters are and how they're related. But since we are getting quite up there in terms of numbers, I'm gonna have to start sorting them and filtering them, which I haven't been doing so far, by things like necessary actions or even just children. So I can see if anyone's aged up, which is probably what I should have done. Doesn't this make it so much easier to see, oh, who's kind of aged up? Well, Bruce has aged up just a little bit. His appearance has changed. And Effie, we kind of saw in the last episode. I think this is a good way to keep an eye on the, kids and stuff. And this way we also know which families have kids. So the Kolb family, Braille family, the Jameson family, the Kiplings, the Winterbournes, and the Ashendales. Okay. And then in terms of necessary actions, so we have, 2 that are unemployed, or all 3 of them are unemployed. Now Olive, we are still saving up for her to become a mason. We do not have enough resources, we need more stone, but then we keep using stone for other things. Randall has lofty aspirations, we've been through this, and so does Esmeralda, so I can't really help them right now. They are just going to have to, I suppose, enjoy life? perhaps? But okay, let us get going. Some of our characters are getting like quite up there in age and getting old. For example, the Olwyn family. Also, some of our couples that are getting up there in age and are not interested in having kids, once they die, guys, those homes are gonna open up. So it's wild, but we're getting to that like age, or that, space and time, where some of the members of Lakeburg, like the citizens that we got early on, they are starting to get old. They might pass on after this, they'll be leaving their homes and families behind. Like the Knapp family, they have already successfully raised and sent off a daughter. They are getting very old. They have no interest in having more children. Once they pass, this home will open up. And same for like the Olwyn family. They're not interested in having more kids. Once they pass, this home will open up. So will we have, the same for the Bonnet family. So we are like, growing in terms of introducing homes at a certain rate, but it's kind of interesting to see that when the older population, like as they die off, a lot of their homes will also be freed up, and then the new kids that are being born into Lakeburg will take up these homes as they age up. It's interesting. It's definitely interesting. Okay, well, let's just get time going and see how things are going to go. What's going to happen with everyone. Okay, oh, we have an event. Okay, Home Alone. Colette is afraid of everything. Other people's gazes, her own thoughts, changing her habits, being alone, going out, staying home. It's a sticky situation and we need to find a solution. Any ideas? Oh, Colette, our 60-year-old farmer. She's feeling a little bit paranoid, is she? Or is she just afraid of being home alone? So we could get a pet, she would be calm and charmed, or we could go on an adventure, she would be confident and inspired. They're both great, but personally, I'm looking at that cat in the corner. Personally, I feel like a pet. For sure, get a pet. Okay, for once, Colette gave in to the temptation by adopting a dog. That's also fair. Faced with the animal's restless energy, she found herself constantly scouring Lakeburg streets, meeting neighbors at all times of day, and apologizing for happy companion's foolishness. Now she has no time to be afraid anymore. Colette feels strangely calm and under the spell of this new friend. Bow wow, I love that. That's so cute. Pets solve everything. Do I have pets myself? No. My parents never allowed me to have pets. But yeah, pets, they definitely solve everything, don't they? And I guess it's not a big surprise, is it? That Olive, she is having a divorce with Emmerich, the 38-year-old baker, and Olive herself is like, she's only 20 years old and she's unemployed. Yeah, okay, things are not working out. They're gonna farewell. I feel like that marriage barely lasted. That is wild. Okay, well, they're gonna have to wait it out to see if there's anyone else in Lakeburg who they might be able to try their luck with. But okay, things are going by pretty quick. So Eldrick and Helios have met. Where have they met? Eldrick and Helios, our hunter and our rat trainer, have met each other, and it seems as though they have the potential to become friends. They made a good impression on each other, which is kind of nice. Maybe they respect each other's occupations, because Eldrick, hunts creatures, and Helios, he controls the rats, keeps the plagues at bay, and maybe they have a sense of appreciation for each other because of that. Yeah, they could kind of see their own skills applied in each other's jobs, and it's intriguing. So there we go. Maybe now this might be a bit far-fetched, but maybe Helios is also agreeing to, let Eldrick have at some of the rats that he might be able to use as traps for the beasts that he hunts. I don't know. It's a little bit wild. But if he's hunting things like rabbits, I doubt they'll want to eat rats. Yeah, I doubt that. But or even target practice. Maybe the rats are going to be target practice for Eldrick. Who knows? Maybe sometimes Eldrick is going to let Helios go out, and it feels sad saying this, hunt bunnies out in the forest. I don't know. But they're bonding over something, which is good to see. And then Let's see. So we have that, and then Nathan and Marie are continuing to dislike each other. Marie, I don't know why why do you and Nathan have a problem with each other? Who has the problematic personality? I mean, she's indecisive. Nathan is a coward. Okay. Maybe Marie is too back and forth in terms of like certain decisions she makes at the bakery. She becomes unsure of herself, maybe trying out new recipes. And such. She gets unsure, and so she asks Nathan for his, second opinion. And Nathan, who's a bit of a coward, sometimes doesn't agree with her, but doesn't want to say it. And then he doesn't end up being helpful, and Marie gets frustrated because she's indecisive. She wants someone more decisive to help her out with things. And Nathan feels like Marie is like too snippy, snappy, and comes off a bit too strong, and it's just annoying all around. Yeah, for whatever reason, they're having disagreements. They do not like each other, and they are bringing down the ambience of the bakery. Like, Eloise was trying so hard to make things good, but they're causing problems. Not fun. And another divorce so quickly. Okay, Theodora and Loop, guys, are divorcing. Theodora, who's 44 years old, and Loop, who's 65. Loop has lived a long time. He has lived a long time, guys. Oh my goodness. I was talking about how I was worried about Colette dying and leaving her daughter, her young daughter. Lo and behold, Colette has died, guys. Colette has died from being too tall. Witnesses are still speculating about Colette Corb's recent sprint through the streets. Was she rushing for the loo? Away from a quarrel? And she got a dog recently as well. Yikes. Towards a romantic rendezvous? Right now, the only certainty is that Colette Corb's haste led to a skull-crushing collision with a low-hanging doorway. I bet you she was chasing that dog, wasn't she? She was chasing that dog. May she rest in peace at 60 years old, guys. She died at 60 years old, leaving behind a 3-year-old daughter. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, guys. So now it becomes an issue. So where are the Pembrokes? It becomes an issue because Oliver is not allowed to keep property, is he? Now he has his stepdaughter with him, but whether or not he ends up, is he gonna be as responsible as Pepin? I don't know. And I feel like part of that, like when they go on these dates, whether or not these dates work out, a lot of it in the way I do it is random, but in my head, whether or not the date works out is also their responsibility in terms of, are they, if they know, right, within this world, let's just stretch our imaginations a bit and not be so nitpicky, but within this world, if Oliver knows someone already has a child and they won't have space for Mabel, if he lets that date work out, it means he's being an irresponsible parent and he doesn't feel any sort of responsibility towards Mabel, and he doesn't feel as though he should, take her under his wing. However, if he lets that kind of date fail, it means part of the reason might be him not wanting to leave Mabel behind. Do you get where I'm going with this? Yeah. So, okay. We now have a whole lot of couples that could be matched up. Obviously, Olive and Emmerich are not going to be a thing. Neither are Theodora and Loop. So, okay. I think Oliver is going to try his luck with Olive. Now, I don't think Olive has any offspring. So Oliver, 28 years old. Olive, the names are very similar. 20 years old. This might work out. So let's send him for Olive and see how that goes. No, we want Olive. Okay. So it doesn't seem as though there's too much here that might work out. We have heartbroken, widowed, divorced. It's just an all-around mess. But let's see how this goes. We're going off on a date. We're starting off at the Hill by Moonlight. We could say it's time to duel. We'll talk about the honor to be had on the battlefield. We'll talk about the battlefield. This old barbaric concept is merely a pretext to kill people and inflict pain. And then let's see, we're at the inn. We could seek a dancing partner for the next ball, or ask the cards provided ask if the cards provided Olive insight into the future? Ask if the cards provided Olive insight into the future. Jeez, I cannot read my comprehension sometimes, guys. Okay, we're gonna go for the cards. Right, it seems our two lovebirds share the same medium, who recently promised them that they'd soon meet their soulmate. What a coincidence. And it seems as though things are going well enough that Oliver and Olive are going to end up married. Okay, is this going to be a loveless marriage potentially? Yes, it is a loveless marriage. And the thing is, well, now Oliver has secured a home for Mabel, so he is, just like Pepin, being a very responsible parent, so I'm proud of him for that. And this is a long-term commitment if you think about it, because Mabel is 3 years old. Like, there's another 15 years of raising her at this point. But Oliver has kind of secured Mabel's future in a way, because now even if something happens to him, Mabel is going to be a family with Olive, even though Olive's his stepmother, and you know, she'll be okay. She'll be raised under Olive's roof. So that kind of works out. With some of these other couples like Sapphire and Effie, Sapphire, yes, is taking in kind of Effie as a stepchild, but once Effie moves out of the home and Sapphire is quite young, within another 4 years, she might be able to have her own kids. And the same thing for Lucius. Like, yes, he's helping to raise, like, Bruce, who is his stepson, but once, you know, Bruce is old enough to leave on his own, Lucius is still young enough to be able to have kids, probably with Carla. How fascinating, though, the way things pan out. Okay, so we had that match made. And then we might... Wait, does Emmerich have any history with Theodora? I don't actually remember. He does not. Right. He was with Emelina, that's right, initially, and then with Olive. He has never been with Theodora, the Mason. So let's get these two together and see if maybe that works out. Okay. Seems like they have awful affinity. Even if they weren't divorced and heartbroken, they would probably have terrible affinity, but it's okay. Theodora is notoriously difficult to get along with, but that's okay. Let's see how it goes. We'll send them on a date. So they're starting off at the lake with a boat ride. We could say there is an absolutely charming fishing spot not far from here. We'll talk about the honor to be had on the battlefield. We're gonna go with the battlefield. Epic armies, the beauty of combat, great realms and mighty nations are forged by war. Okay, and then we're gonna go to the inn. We could say flowers are pointless. We'll talk about the latest clothing trends. Clothing trends? Oh, nothing beats discussing marvelous royal outfits to create bonds. And things are going well enough that we are discussing marriage, so Emmerich and Theodora are going to get married. Okay, good for them. They both have like the same color of eyes. Their hair color is very similar. I think Theodora is like a shade darker. But okay, there we go. These two are infatuated and married. So good for them. Good for them. And now we only have Loop left. But Loop, you know, this is not the first time in his life he has found himself homeless on the streets and single. But yeah, once more, at 65 years of age. The past times this has happened, he has very quickly been able to find a partner for himself. It seems as though that is not the case this time around. But yeah, at 65 years old, guys, he is gonna be out on the streets. It's a rough life. It's a rough life in Lakeburg from time to time. Okay, let's keep an eye. Oh, guys, we just had another baby. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, let's have a look. Eloise and Nathan are best friends. Oh, I love that. So even though Nathan, that must be a complicated workplace. Even though Nathan is not getting along well, like he dislikes Eloise's mother Marie, he is like best friends with Eloise. I feel bad for Eloise. That must be like a really rough position to be in, because Nathan, like, she's really good friends with Nathan. They're very close in age, a couple of years apart, but she helped him complete his training after his mentor died. Like the last year of his apprenticeship, she helped him complete. But then he doesn't get along well with her mother. But she is like really close to her mother. So seeing two people that you're close to despise each other. Must be very rough. But okay. The Frost family has had a little baby. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Where is this baby? Where is... Guys! Valerius and Anne have a child. Lindra Frost. I don't know how I feel about that name, but she has her father's hair, her father's skin, and her mother's eyes, and she has a really good relationship with her mother, which makes me happy. 61 affinity, average relationship with her father, 58% affinity. She is a hardworking little girl, oh my goodness, and she's an intelligent one too. Oh, look at that! She wants to be a seamstress or a carpenter. That's actually cute. That's very cute. I think I might change her first name. Mirabelle Frost. Now that's a pretty name. She's gonna be Mirabelle Frost. I love that. She's hardworking. Unfortunately, she has the club foot. Does she get that from her father? No, I'm sorry. Where does she get that from? I don't know where she gets that from. It is not from either parent. It is a mutation. I didn't know they could have genetic mutations, but apparently they can. Okay, but that is adorable little Mirabelle. I'm very happy that the Frost name is passing on. That makes me absolutely delighted. But okay, that aside, in terms of her preferences, she likes dancing, feasting, music, which is surprising given the clubfoot, and she dislikes fishing, dueling, and poetry. Okay, fair enough, little Mirabelle. Fair enough. But guys, I think this is going to be a good place for us to wrap up. I'm actually really happy that we managed to expand the population a little bit more, and that Frost family name, you guys know how I feel about the Frost family. I was really desperately wanting that name to pass on because it's one of the pretty names, so I'm really glad that is the case. But okay, with that said and done, I am gonna leave off here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.